And that's what this book's about. You know, we all go through shit, and we're no different than houses. It doesn't matter how tired we are, how beat up we are, how sad we are, how depressed we are, how out of shape we are, how fat we are, how skinny we are. We can all use a remodel.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to New Money, where we talk to movers and shakers about how they made it. I'm your host, Rosemarie Miller, here with CEO, dad, entrepreneur, and author, Tarek El Moussa. Thank you so much for joining me today, Tarek.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, Tarek, you recently wrote a book. Here it is, Flip Your Life. What inspired you to write a book at this time in your life?
You know, I'm 42 years old today, and I started my entrepreneurial journey at 19. And it has been a rocky road with a lot of ups and downs. But through that road and through those ups and downs, I've learned a lot of valuable lessons. And those lessons are so valuable to any entrepreneur, young entrepreneur, anyone out there that's trying to get ahead, because you don't know what you don't know. And this book is going to share all of the struggles that people can face in life and how to overcome those struggles.
Well, Tarek, you've had a tremendous amount of success. You've had multiple HGTV shows. You're married to Heather Rae El Moussa, and you just had a baby. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Almost a year.
Almost a year.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that time flies.
Time flies, yeah.
So let's start at the beginning. Back to your childhood. Tell us about it.
Childhood, okay. Well, my parents immigrated from other countries. My mom was from Belgium. My dad was from the Middle East. They moved here, I think, in the early 70s. They were living in Cairo, Egypt, actually, and a missile hit their apartment while they were in the apartment, so they fled the country. Made their way to the U.S., started in South Central L.A. I was born in Long Beach, and then at 5, we moved to Buena Park. But as a child, you know, looking back now, it was difficult growing up. I was always in trouble. I could never sit still. I wasn't allowed inside classrooms. I was just way too hyper. Yeah. Luckily for me, I took all that energy and put it towards sports. So I was very active in all different sports, and my dad was with me every day coaching baseball from about 8 years old to 13. So I spent a lot of time with both of my parents growing up. And I thought baseball was my game. So loved baseball, and I took a year, or was it a year or two off between junior high and high school. I started playing ice hockey. Then I came back to baseball and blew out my arm in my freshman year.
And that was that.
So that was something that was pretty devastating for me. So for 4 years, I tried playing baseball, and my arm just wouldn't go. Major nerve damage and just nerve problems.
Well, Tarek, I want to stop you right there, because you said you couldn't sit still, and that was kind of an issue for you. But now look at you, with all this tremendous success. What do you have to say to the kids out there who feel like something is wrong with them because they can't sit still?
Yeah. I mean, it's a gift if you know how to use it, and if you accept it and you understand it. So my challenges with ADHD have always caused frustration, right? So now I channel my ADHD into a positive. I'm more creative. I have more energy. I get more excited. I'm more emotional. I'm more in tune with my feelings. So it's really understanding what ADHD is and understanding how you can use it to your benefit.
And you said your dad, he coached the baseball team. If I'm not mistaken, he didn't put you in the starting lineup, right?
Oh, well, that was soccer. So my first valuable lesson in life was at 5 years old.
Okay.
I was playing soccer. My dad was a big soccer player in the Middle East, and he was chosen to be the All-Star coach. And I'll never forget when they picked my dad as the coach, being so excited, you know, because I'm going to be on the All-Star team. So he picks the team, and he didn't pick me. I remember that day. I remember sitting at dinner that night just crying. I asked him the question. I was like, how can you not pick me? He said, you're not good enough. Like, that was it. But he said, if you work hard this year, next year, you're going to be on that All-Star team. So the lesson was, no one's going to give it to you. If you want it, you got to go get it.
You got to go get it.
That's it.
All right. So where were we? You hurt your arm, and baseball was out.
Yeah, and baseball was out. And I got into a little bit of trouble in high school, so a little short stint in juvenile hall at 17. When I got out of juvenile hall, I ended up seeing some doctors. That's when I got diagnosed with ADHD. Started taking medicine. It was overnight, changed me. My GPA went from a 2.0 to a 3.8. I was able to focus, but it changed who I was. I mean, I was quiet, I was calm. I don't know how big this dose was, but I think it was a pretty strong dose of medication.
Yeah.
But it was really helpful because I was finally at peace in a sense, but I just wasn't myself. At 18, in order to keep taking those medicines, they told me I had to go see a doctor. And of course, I was 18 years old, and I said, no one's going to tell me what to do. So I stopped taking the medicines. I didn't realize what happened until now, but what happened was this. I stopped taking the medicines at 18. In between 18 and 20 years old, I absolutely destroyed my life.
Because you stopped taking the medicine. You think that's the reason?
It's a big part of it.
Okay.
And what happened was I started experiencing just severe anxiety, and I was anxious all the time and overwhelmed and stressed. And then I started having sleep issues, and I wasn't sleeping. So then I started drinking so I could sleep. And then I just turned into a raging alcoholic, and then I became depressed, and then I gained 60 pounds, and then my clothing wouldn't fit, and I had these stretch marks on my body. My hair was falling out, and I didn't want to live.
And how did you pull yourself out of that? I have a lot of friends struggling with addiction. Well, it's weed these days, so we're being honest. They're struggling. How did you pull yourself out of that?
Honestly, I didn't necessarily pull myself out of that for about 10 to 12 more years.
10 to 12 more years.
Yeah, but I was able to become a functioning alcoholic.
Okay.
Yeah. When 18 to 20, I was blackout alcoholic by myself, chain smoking cigarettes in a backyard with no internet, no TV, just staring at the wall. I was a real depressed, angry, miserable, sad, scared alcoholic.
And your loved ones, did they notice? Did they say anything?
At the time, my parents had gone through a divorce.
Yeah.
Or were going through divorce, so they were doing their own things. And it was just a really, really tough time in my life. The day I graduated high school, I was good looking, I was in shape, I was an athlete, I was talented, and
you were the man.
yeah. And then I went from being the man to a fat loser that was drunk sitting on a couch. Wow. And I absolutely hated myself. And then the night that really stands out to me was about a year. I think it was about a year into this binge drinking, and I was drinking an entire bottle of vodka at night. It's over 30 shots, I think. And then I got so bad I'd drink the bottle and then drink a 6-pack of beer. Really bad.
How did your stomach handle that?
I was young.
I'm young. My stomach couldn't handle that.
Well, it took a lot of practice.
Okay.
And then one night I was like, I got to take a night off. So I'll never forget going outside. It was, probably 10, 11, 12 o'clock. And for the first time in a year, I was sober during the nighttime, and I can smell the grass, and I can hear the frogs, and I literally had a moment where I was like, holy shit, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
And that's when I cut back on the alcohol. I went from a bottle a night to about a half bottle a night, and that was just so I could sleep. I was living with a girl at the time. We ended up breaking up. So I called my mom to move back home into my old bedroom. She had just rented it out to a tenant. So I said, can I live in the garage? And she's like, well, yeah, it's a garage. So when I say garage, WD-40 cans, dirt bike, cockroaches, spiders.
Garage.
Hit the clicker, the thing opens. And then this is actually where my life started to change for the better.
Okay. By
the most random person you would ever meet. So one of the guy that was living in my old bedroom was this guy from Texas. He was a big guy, 6'2", 6'3", shaved head, big earrings and hoops and tattoos from his neck to his toe.
Yeah.
Like something you'd see out of a movie. I'm thinking, Mom, you let this guy move into your house?
Everything's bigger in Texas, so okay.
I was like, this guy looks like he just got out of the pen. So I'm just walking through the house one day. He's like, hey. I was like, hey, because I was living in the garage. We'd see each other. And he's like, hey, you want to work out tomorrow? And I was like, yeah, sure, just to blow him off. I thought the guy was a little bit weird. Yeah. And I was thinking, do a couple push-ups, sit-ups, something like that. So the next night, I get home from work. He's like, you ready to work out? I was like, yeah, sure. So I was thinking, I got some dumbbells in the garage. He goes, dumbbells in the garage? I'm like, we're going to go to the gym. I'm like, God. And I'm immediately dreading it. Thinking,
it's a whole function.
I am not going to, this is my drinking time. I'm not going to the gym. So anyways, I go to the gym with him, and he worked out like an animal. And I'm like, bro, I haven't worked out. We were there for 2 hours. Next night, you ready? I'm like, yeah. Next night, ready? Something magical happened a few weeks in. I started to gain hope. I looked in the mirror and I saw my body changing. I realized mentally I was excited to go to the gym because I was now starting to see those results. About 6 weeks in, I got my drive back, and it was amazing. From rock bottom for years to flipping a switch, and it all came from building my confidence.
Yeah, this random stranger just walked in your life.
Yeah.
Does he know how he touched your life?
Yeah, he does.
He does.
He does.
You still stay in contact with him?
I try. He's a squirrely one.
Oh, are you sure it's him and not you?
He had some struggles himself.
Okay, all right.
And we related a lot.
You did. Yeah. So take us into the real estate. I saw that you said sales was everything. Tell me about how that started.
With real estate. So, so that girl I was telling you I was dating at the time when I was living in that house, her parents were in real estate. Okay. And her dad would tell me these war stories from the 60s about how he was a big investor, had hundreds of houses, and would gamble houses on horses and poker games. And he's just this big guy, loved to drink. I drank with him. Like, he could outdrink me. He'd smoke 3 cigars a night. And he was my best friend. Yeah. Every night we'd hang out, smoke cigars, drink.
You're a little rough around the edges. I like that. Okay.
Yeah. I've lived an interesting life. So I moved out because I broke up the girl, so I stopped hanging out with my best friend. And I found myself at a Washington Mutual in Cerritos, California one day. And at the time I'd been selling kitchen knives for a company called Cutco.
I know the company. I did Cutco too as a kid. Yes.
I love everybody's got Cutco. And I was actually, turns out I was pretty good at selling those knives because I was making good money. But this was back in 2002, 2003, so everything was in a binder. Okay. I lost my binder. So I essentially put myself out of business. And I'll never forget this defining moment in my life. And I call it defining moment, a moment in your life that changes the trajectory of your life. And everybody's had defining moments. So I'm standing at the ATM thinking, I'm so screwed. What do I do now? And I look over to the right, throw my head back, and there's this crooked sign. It says, Wise Old Owl Real Estate School. So I thought to myself, if I can sell knives, I could sell houses. So then I walked across the parking lot and signed up for real estate school. You signed up for real estate school. Just like that.
And was that the best decision you've ever made in your life?
Absolutely.
The best decision. What did you learn in real estate school?
Oh, the school, I learned nothing at all. But I learned that I needed to get a license. Yeah. And that's what mattered, right? So in life, we all set goals. But on the way to that big goal, you have a lot of goals on the way. So my first goal to being a real estate agent was to get a real estate license. So I did that. And then I got into the business. And it was, I'm going to tell the full story of exactly how it happened. So I got into the business. I was working at Coldwell Banker in an old medical building, and they had something called floor time. So back then they would have, all the newspaper ads running with pictures of houses, and then people would call if they wanted to see them or buy them. Yeah. And nobody liked doing floor time shifts because it's boring and nobody called, but I didn't know what to do. So I would pick up everybody's floor time shifts, hoping somebody would call me.
And you're how old at this time?
20 years old.
20 years old. Okay.
Yeah. Nobody called me really, right? Finally, I was sitting there one day, and the secretary, her name was Carolyn, she was sitting next to me in the middle of my shift. I was having anxiety. It's been months of nothing happening. I told her, I quit. I'm going to school. That's it. I literally walked out of that Coldwell Banker office, went home, quit real estate, changed my clothing, sat on the couch, started watching a game. Carolyn calls. She goes, well, a couple just came in and they want to write an offer on a house. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I just quit real estate an hour ago. Yeah. It's wild how this happened. I'm like, all right, one last shot. So I go to the office thinking I got to go show them this house. No, they already knew the house they wanted to buy. So next thing I know, I'm writing an offer on the house they want to buy. And then in order for them to buy that house, they needed to sell their house. So now I'm writing 2 contracts. So, out of nowhere. So then I get this offer for this house. I put it in the fax machine. I'll never forget. And it starts making the noises. And I'm thinking, the market's so hot, there's probably 10 other offers. I rip it out of the fax machine. I look at the bottom of the paperwork and I see the address. Yeah. Brea, California. I drive to the office. So I'm working at an old Coldwell Banker Medical building. It's kind of janky. It's not real nice. So I walk up to this building. It's called 3 Point Drive in Brea, high-rise building, all glass, high-end. And I'm thinking, where am I? Yeah. Go into the elevator, go up to I think it was the second or third floor, walk in the door. There was a girl there named Miley. I said, hi, I'm here to see so-and-so. I have an offer for their house. She goes, great. Do you have an appointment? I said, no. And then she starts laughing at me. But you just can't come in here and see so-and-so. And I'm thinking, well, why not? I'm 20 years old. So she goes, you need to come back with an appointment. I said, listen, I just need 2 minutes. Trust me, he's really going to want to hear what I have to say. Please, like begging, pleading, just selling myself. Finally, she goes, okay, I'll be right back. So she comes back, she goes, okay, go down the hall, last door on the left. I go to the last door, I go in, and then I look, and it's this huge office with all these windows overlooking a view, and there's just trophies and awards everywhere. Like, I've never seen so many trophies and awards in my life. I walk to the desk, and this big burly guy stands up, shaved head, big jet black goatee, puts his hand out, crushes mine. I'm a kid. He goes, sit. I'm like, yes, sir. And I go, I have an offer for you. And I show him, and he goes, stop. I'm like, okay. He pulls out a manila folder. This offer is better than yours. This offer is better than yours. This offer is better than yours. And I'm thinking, dead in the water.
Yeah.
And then he goes, and just so you know, this is my house. He was the owner. Turned out the guy I was talking to was the listing agent of the property, the owner of the property, and the owner of the entire brokerage. He was a big deal.
How rare is that?
Totally rare.
Yeah.
And that's what the book's about. You got to go for it in life. You got to jump. So he tells me, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to answer. I'll take your offer if you come work with me starting right now. 5, 4, 3. Put my hand out, solidified that deal, and it turned out he already had a buyer for my client's house they needed to sell. My clients bought his house. I was 20 years old. I got a check for $33,000.
Stop.
I couldn't believe it. Like a broke kid from Buena Park. I mean, 20, looking at this check thinking my life has changed. So I'm thinking, well, what do you know, when you're a broke kid and you make $33,000, what do you think? Well, you think you're rich, right?
In one lick at that.
Yeah, so I thought I was rich, and what happened was the new Cadillac Escalade had just come out, and it was in all the new, rap videos, and it was
do
like,
not tell me, Tarek, do not tell me you went and blew that money.
Hold on, it gets better. It gets better. So then, I seen all the rap videos. I'm like, I bet y'all look good in that car. I got this check. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go get a Cadillac Escalade. So I go to the dealer. Long story short, I was a kid, no credit history. They sold me the car, but they required $25,000 down.
My goodness gracious.
So I literally took my life savings as the down payment on this car.
Yeah.
And what happened was, a few months later, I couldn't even drive the car anymore because I couldn't afford the gas. And I couldn't afford the gas because I did not know how to duplicate what I did to make that money.
Was that the dumbest purchase you've ever made?
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, let's think about this. Yeah, probably. It probably was. Yeah, at the time, because I was all in on a car. But
right.
The interesting thing is this, but it's one of the reasons why I've become so successful, because I've put myself in positions where failure is not an option. Meaning, if I don't pull this off, it's game over. So when my back's against the wall is when I perform best. So now I can't even drive the car. I'm totally broke. I'm like, what do I do now? There's this event coming into town thrown by this guy named Mike Ferry, where he teaches real estate agents like how to make more money, and he coaches people. And I had never in my life knew you can get a coach for business. I was used to sports coaches. So I'm like, coach? Well, this sounds interesting. So I go to the free event at Buena Park Sequoia Athletic Club.
Okay.
And this guy Mike is a genius. Like, this guy, I'd never heard a professional speaker, and the way he affected me, I'd never experienced anything. Like, he convinced me I can do anything. He convinced me I could be a multimillionaire. He convinced me I could be a top agent. Like, he convinced me sky's the limit. So at the end,
I'm seeing a trend of these masculine figures in your life coming and just at the right time, lifting you up. Did your dad do that for you too?
Absolutely. My dad's always been my biggest supporter, and my mom.
How important is that in life, would you tell young boys to have a masculine figure that they can look up to?
100%. And it's not even whether it's masculine or feminine, like just a figure.
Just a figure.
And that's what the book's about. It's about your crew, building your crew, your support team, your system, those around you who can help you and guide you and educate you and support you. And it's very important because, you know, experience is something you can't buy. Experience is something you gain over time. And one of the biggest, you know, issues that young entrepreneurs face is, you know, they don't have that experience. They might be smart, they might be talented, but they don't have that experience to look back on to help make decisions today. So it's very, very important. So at the end of Mike Ferry's thing, I signed up for one-on-one coaching. It was $1,000 a month in 2003, which is like $1 million a month today with inflation, right?
You had that money.
I had no money. I couldn't put gas in my car.
Right.
So luckily I had a credit card. And at the time I was still living in the garage. Man. So here's what I did. I told myself, you're going to do this, 20-year-old Tarek. My coach said I needed to talk to 20 people a day, 5 days a week. I told him, no, I'm going to talk to 50 people a day, 6 days a week, and then some more on Sunday. He said, yeah, right, nobody can do that. It takes about 500 to 700 phone calls to do that, or knocking on doors. So I had one goal in mind. I gave myself 90 days to turn my life around. And it was simple. At the end of 90 days, I'm either going with real estate or I'm staying in school. I did not like school. So my goal wasn't to make money, wasn't to get listings, wasn't to get buyers, it was none of that. My only goal was to talk to 50 people a day. So if I'm on contact 49, I call someone, they go get hit by a bus. Instead of being sad and emotional, I'm celebrating because I can now go home. I had 50 contacts. So it's all about perception too. And what happened was this, because I talked to so many people, 90 days later, I put my head up and I earned $120,000.
Wow.
I went from 0 to 40,000 a month, but it was different this time because now I built a repeatable system. I knew if I called expired listings, I was going to get listings and I was going to make money.
So it's like you made your goal something you had complete control over. You don't have control over who says yes, none of that, but you have control over how many phone calls you... okay.
Right.
Okay, I see what you're doing.
It takes away the anxiety and the emotion, and you know what I mean? So it's just simplifying. People don't realize, like, you change your life just by talking to people you don't know every single day. Very simple. So what happened was I was in that garage, 90 days later, made $120,000 and ended up buying almost $1 million house. How I got the loan, who knows? It was the heyday, you know, like I was a kid. So at 21, I'm now living in this almost $1 million house. I got a 300-gallon shark tank. I have my master bedroom has like a jacuzzi tub with a plasma on the wall. And I'm feeling like I made it, you know? Like I didn't grow up in a house like this. And I was a 21-year-old kid. So things were going well and built teams and it was selling real estate and, you know, young, arrogant, whatever you want to call it, you know. And then 2006 hit, my business started slowing down and I was like, well, what's going on here? And I started studying inventory and I started noticing that inventory was spiking, which means a lot more homes were coming for sale and less were selling. And that's when I started making less money and I started telling everybody, hey, something's wrong with real estate. And everybody's laughing at me because I was 25. What do you know? You're just a kid, you know? So I had 3 properties at the time, and I sold 2 of them. And the last one closed December of 06, and then the subprime market crashed spring of 07. So I barely got out of it.
But you saw it. Something's wrong. Wow. And I saw the movie The Big Short. So wow. Wow, you saw all of this in real time. How did you see your colleagues being affected by this? Oh,
it was a bloodbath for the entire industry. Even for me, you know, I had to sell my $1 million house. That escalated, my BMW, my toys. I ended up moving into an apartment, driving my dad's like old work truck. It was like a F13050. It was like 800 feet long. It had big rancher horns on the front, roll up windows, no AC. Like I'm thinking, man, what happened to my life?
That's a lot of ego hits.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, you were the man in high school. You went down. You were the man again. You went down. That's a lot of ego, especially for a man. I know how y'all are.
It beat me up really, really bad. I tried getting a job as a valet parker. They told me I didn't have enough experience. And I said, no, I delivered pizza for 2 years. I have a ton of experience. And yeah, I struggled. It was a struggle. And what happened was I was still working like a madman. But I wasn't making money because I would go on these appointments and the seller would say, oh, I want $800,000 for my house. I said, well, it's worth $6 now. Well, I'm not selling it for $6. Well, then I can't help you. So it was like overnight, like the faucet shut off. I stopped making money. My life changed. And it was a struggle 2007, 2008, 2009.
That's a lot of time to be down.
Yeah, it was a lot of time.
What did that do to your mental state? Every day you're waking up, damn, I'm down.
I lived in turmoil, fear, anxiety, stress, overwhelm, mayhem. I mean, it was, man, we waste so many years of our lives as humans. We really, really do, because of the things we go through.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the things we go through are really caused by the things we do, you know? But valuable lessons.
Glimmer of hope. What kept you going?
Hope. Hope. There was one time, I'll never forget, the one time in my life I truly doubted myself. I was living in Newport Beach in an apartment. It was 2007. Came home from work. I was sitting on my balcony, looking at PCH, watching cars drive by, and I actually said it out loud. Maybe you aren't as good as you think you are. Maybe you aren't meant for what you think you deserve. Maybe you're just meant to be like everybody else. And it was the first time I said it out loud.
Wow.
And then I realized through experience that I was wrong, because I did go from 0 to 40,000 a month almost overnight, right? I did do these things. I did get back into the gym. I did turn my life around. So I said, okay, no, you can do this.
You can.
And I kept going.
Maybe I'm just like everybody else. That's a powerful statement, because that tells you that you really felt that your purpose was real estate. This is what you were born to do.
Yeah.
And to think, oh, maybe I'm not meant to do this.
Yeah, it was a tough afternoon. Fortunately, I learned to pivot. So instead of calling all those expired listings that I was calling, which is houses that were listed that didn't sell, and then I'd go try to relist them, I moved that focus and I started calling notice of defaults. And I started door knocking notice of defaults. Then I started picking up short sales. So I started making some money again. A little bit of money, but not crazy money. And then I did this one short sale deal. I had a first lien, second lien, third lien, IRS lien, HOA lien. This thing was a nightmare. It took me 11 months to negotiate. At the end of it, I got a check for $7,000. And it was for $7,000 because the property value was half of what it was. So the commission was half. And then the bank reduced my commission. The person I sold it to hired a gardener, cut the grass, hired a painter, painted the house, sold it a few weeks later, made about $130,000. I said, wait a minute. I said, I found the buyer, I found the seller, I negotiated the deal, I worked with the bank, I spent a year, I made $7,000, this person made $130,000. That was the exact moment I realized that I was on the wrong side of the real estate equation.
The game changed, okay.
Another defining moment, just like at that ATM. So I said, okay, I'm gonna be a house flipper, that's it. Immediately put. Massive action always. If I have an idea, I get to work within seconds. So the idea came, pulled out my phone in the moment. If you don't strike in the moment, you're just never gonna do it. You gotta do it in the moment. So I just start calling everybody I know. Everybody's laughing at me, thinking, is this a joke? You're young, it's too speculative. Like, what are you talking about? Go back to school, get a job. Yeah. And every no I got was just fueling me.
You're one of those.
I'm gonna prove you wrong. I love proving people wrong. I love it because I don't like negative thinking.
Yeah.
I hate it because it prevents people from living the life they should.
Yeah.
And people have all these negative people around you all the time, which holds you back. Yeah. So it really frustrates me. So when someone tells me no, I will do whatever it takes to prove them wrong. So finally, I get to someone in my phone, the only multimillionaire I knew. And the last person I called because I was scared to call him. Yeah. Hey, blah, 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 you want to flip house? He goes, sure. And I'm thinking, what, did he hear what I said? He goes, sure. We find a good deal. I'll flip houses with you.
Asking you shall receive.
Just like that. So what did I learn?
Pick up.
I learned, don't talk to my friends' parents or my neighbors about, they don't know anything about investing or business or being an entrepreneur. The one person I was scared to call is the one person that said yes. Why? Because they were already successful.
And how old were you now?
I was 20, I think I was 28, 29.
28, 29. Picking up the phone, calling this multimillionaire. Who am I? Oh my goodness. Oh my, that confidence, you had to have some of it. What made you decide, all right, F it?
Why not?
Why not?
What do you got to lose?
Worst thing he could say is no.
Worst thing you say is no.
And he said yes.
And he said yes. So we ended up buying a condo that next week at the auction. And it was interesting because we were supposed to only bid 110,000, and then it went up to like 111, and the last minute he goes, I brought an extra 5. So someone bid up to 114. I'll never forget. I go 115, going once, going twice, sold. So we bought it for the exact dollar amount that we brought to the auction. Mm. So then during that same time period, I bought that condo to flip. There was another real estate convention by Mike Ferry in Las Vegas, Nevada called Superstar Retreat. Okay. And there's like, I don't know, about 5,000 realtors there. So, I always sit in the back because, the front's like for the VIPs and stuff. So a friend of mine, his name is Brad, who's the vice president of the company I was working at, texted me. It's like, hey, the manager and his wife just left the front row. You and Christina can come sit in the front. Mm-hmm. So we sit in the front row.
And Christina's your ex-wife.
Yeah, my ex-wife. And the interesting thing was we were actually dressed like really sharp because the night before the speaker told us to go out, buy clothing we can't afford, go out, have a dinner we can't afford, and drink wine we can't afford, and for one night live life at the next level. Mm-hmm. And we did it. I'll never forget. It was one of the most magical nights of my life. Love that. I think everybody should do that. But I was real hungover. Yeah. I was still drinking a lot. So I'm in the front row, and all of a sudden, my heart starts pounding, and I start sweating, and this guy runs over, and he hands me Advil and water. Okay? The guy that hands me the Advil and water was the guy I saw speaking on stage the day before, and he made $800,000 a year selling real estate.
Hey, that's random. Some guy just comes over with Advil and water?
Yeah.
What?
Just like that, in the middle of the conference.
Yeah.
So at the break, he comes up to me and Christina, and he starts talking, and then these other heavy hitters, VIPs, they all come up because we look sharp, we're young, and then I'm in this group of successful people, and I'm not going to tell him I'm a peon, so I'm just going with it. And we're talking, and he tells me he has a local TV show. I'm like, okay, that's cool, but what does that do? He's like, yeah, like I go to the grocery store and people recognize me. I'm like, okay, well, what does that do? He goes, but then they buy and sell houses with me. I'm like, oh, wow, so you use TV? He's like, yeah. And he had like a local show. Mm-hmm. I never really thought about TV before. So we leave Las Vegas. It's like 10 o'clock at night. I'll never forget this. Christina had one leg going up the stair, one on the floor, and she looks over. She's like, you coming to bed? I said, no. She goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to get us a TV show. And then she starts laughing at me. She goes, a TV show about what? Because I always had these crazy ideas. You could even ask her. We used to have fun with this stuff. Mm-hmm. I had crazy ideas. I said, I don't know. And I said, give me a second. So I was like, 1,000. I was like, I have it. We just bought our first flip. Uh-huh. What if we flip houses on TV? And my eyes lit up. And she looks at me, she laughs, she goes, I'm going to bed. She went to bed. So I went on Google and I just Googled Hollywood production companies. I went to websites, there was buttons, said casting, hit the button, what's your idea? Told them my idea, went to bed. Woke up the next day, one of them actually responded.
Tarek, you're so bold. You were so young, so bold. When did you become that way?
Just my whole life.
Your whole life. Do
Yeah.
you attribute some of that to the ADHD? Just do it.
100%.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I have to go. And honestly, it's the valuable lessons I've learned. At 5 years old, I was told no one will ever give you anything. And the second, as humans, we accept that. Like, we take full responsibility for everything in our life, we're free. We're free to go build and create.
Yeah.
But until we get those chains off, and we're always held down. So you have to take responsibility for every single thing in your life, right? And that's how you gain control. The next day, I wake up in the morning, one of them responded, hey, send a home video. So I go to my friend Brad, I'm like, hey, can I borrow your camera? Because I didn't have any money for a camera. And he was a techie, he had just bought this brand new camera. Yeah. And I was a disaster, and he knew me. He was like, just don't break it, please. Please don't break it. Oh yeah, I broke it. Sorry, Brad.
Cameras ain't cheap.
Yeah, I broke it. But we documented that very first flip. It was a condo in Santa Ana, California. And I did everything wrong, but I worked my butt off. Christina, she brought this vanity light in, and she's like, oh, what is it going to look like in the bathroom? So, I take the metal light and I go to put it up where it goes. And next thing I know, it's sparking and I'm jittering. And well, there were live wires. Yeah. And I kind of shocked myself pretty bad. Yeah. Another time I was acid washing the shower, and there's this like the box with the skulls and the crossbones, beware. So I followed the instructions, put the gloves on, did the mixture, kicked my sandals off, started karate kidding the walls, you know?
Yes.
But nowhere in there did it say anything about feet. So the acid ran down into my feet. Next thing I know, my feet start burning. So I jump out of the shower and I go to turn on the tub to put my feet in. The owner turned off the water. I was the owner, by the way. So that didn't work. So I run out and I run into the community pool.
You didn't know what you were doing. Okay.
No,
Okay.
they loved it. So then we shot the home video, and then they sent it out to all the networks. Nobody wanted it.
Okay.
Nobody. So I'd given up on the idea. 10 months later, I get a call. I'm on a golf course. Production company say, "You're not going to believe it. HGTV wants to do a pilot."
Wait, so no, who were the other companies you sent it to?
Oh, I don't even remember.
But it was a lot, big ones.
I don't even know. I don't even think. I just do.
You just do.
And that's the thing. Most people, that you get slowed down by thinking, whether it's a big company or a small company, I don't care. They're a production company. Whoever says yes, I'm in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You didn't have these doubts like, is this good enough? None of that. Or
Nope.
this is what we got. This is what we sending.
We do. You got to do. You got to do.
Just do.
You got to take action every day.
Oh, I'm learning.
Yeah.
I'm
No, it's
learning
you
a
get
lot.
anything you want in life if you do. Stop thinking. Stop talking about it. Stop wondering about it. Start doing it.
And I heard,
you want to ride a bike? Go get on a bike.
get on the bike.
Don't read bicycle magazines. Don't watch YouTube videos on bikes. Get on a bike.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You should know. You're
I
training.
know.
Right?
I'm doing it.
It's the only way to do it, right? So, so we shot the pilot in summer of 11, and we were told, the odds of getting your own show, very small.
Okay.
If you get
wait. Go back a little bit. So HGTV, they call. Okay. They want you. What's that moment like?
for a pilot,
For a
very exciting.
You and
I
Christina.
couldn't believe it.
Okay.
Like TV, we're just normal couple, like struggling, right? We're like
what
nobody.
did Christina say?
She's like, I can't believe you pulled it off, But I always pull off the wildest things, We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So she couldn't believe it. Like, we couldn't believe it. So we shoot the pilot thinking, let's see what happens. They said the odds of getting a show are very small and it's probably going to take a real long time. Within weeks, I get a contract to do 13 episodes of a house flipping show on HGTV. Mm-hmm. Sounds very exciting, right?
Yeah.
2 problems. Problem number 1, I don't know how to flip houses.
Okay.
Okay. Problem number 2, even if I did, where am I going to get all this money to flip 13 houses in 10 months and do it on TV? Mm-hmm. That's a problem, right?
That's a problem.
Because the pilot was the 3rd house I'd ever done.
Wow.
So then, I called my lawyer at the time, who took me on a payment plan. Still my lawyer today, Roger Bailey, one of the best guys in the world. And I asked, what's the worst thing that can happen? And then he goes, well, they could sue you. So I looked around at my finance couch and my finance table and my finance chair, and I said, they can have it. And I signed that sucker twice. And I burned the boats again. What I did is I went all in. So I knew I had to perform, and I had to finish this contract or I'm done. So what I did is every night from 10 p.m. until 4 a.m., I'd leave my house and drive Southern California. And I would drive all the addresses of properties going to the auction the next day. Mm-hmm. And the reason I would drive them was to make sure nobody was living there, because I didn't want to buy occupied homes because I couldn't film occupied homes.
Right.
So exhausted, beat up, every night, going on the road. And then here's what happened. You drive overnight, you identify, 8 vacant houses. I'm excited, right? Mm-hmm. I go to the auction. Of the 8, 5 are postponed. So I'm down to 3. And then, my max bid is like $300,000. So opening bid, 200, 205, 210, 250, 275, 280, 290, 295. And I'm like, 300. I'm like, am I going to get it? 305, 310, 340, 360, 380. I'm like, what are they talking about? How are they paying $400,000? My max is 3.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out I was competing against hedge funds who showed up with like other people's millions and millions of dollars. But now I was stuck. I signed this contract. I agreed to a show. I didn't know how to find houses. So I kept doing it. Every night I drove. Every day I went to the auction. I would lose. I'd lose. It beat the crap out of me.
Yeah.
Couple weeks in, they announced I bid on it. Nobody else bid against me. I got the house. I couldn't believe it. But when I got the house, the first thing I thought was, oh no, what did I do wrong? And then the number 1 buyer at the auction, it was towards the end of the day, he looks over at me and he goes, I can't buy them all. And he walked off. And then I learned something. I learned that if I take massive action and I keep showing up, every now and then I'm going to get lucky. And that's exactly what I did. And that's how I pulled it off.
I don't know if you believe in God, but I do. Black girl from Mississippi. You are a walking testimony. I don't know if you've ever heard this, but God really favors you.
Thank you.
He tests you a little bit, puts you through some challenges, some perseverance, and he's like, you passed, here you go.
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing in your life. Here you go.
Yeah,
You passed.
and he's it's been a lot of ups and downs.
A lot of ups and downs.
And then, but today it's interesting because now at like 42, I'm at this spot in my life where for the first time ever, I'm comfortable in my own skin.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy with who I am. I'm happy with what I am. And I've never had that before.
Yeah.
So it's just an amazing feeling to be in this place where I'm at, which I've been at in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So, but then they tried to cancel Flip or Flop season 1.
Mm-hmm.
So halfway through the season, we just stopped filming. And nobody was giving me information. And then finally, I find out that there was someone at the network that thought it wouldn't be a good look for the network to have a flipping show.
Why?
Because they thought it was like, making money off people. So they didn't feel it was a good look. So they almost canceled the show. Luckily, that guy was gone.
Mm-hmm.
So season 1 was 13 episodes, and they did 0 marketing, 0 promotion. No one had ever heard about it or talked about it. And our episodes were 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So we premiered on a Thursday night in Los Angeles. I'll never forget the premiere party from 11 p.m. till 12 a.m. 2 episodes, brand new, back to back. They were going to burn us off the air in 6 weeks and be done with us.
Mm-hmm.
Something special happened. I'll never forget, it was so late thinking, man, at least we made it. At least we're on the screen.
Yeah.
Woke up the next day to find out that we had broken a bunch of records. The viewership from the beginning of the hour to the end of the hour exponentially increased. We hit the top 100 TV shows organically in the Nielsen ratings. And 2 weeks later, we were primetime. It was cool.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, you were primetime.
Yeah.
So this is Forbes, so I have to ask, what was your money situation at this time? How much were y'all making per episode?
Per episode, we were making $10,000 an episode back then.
Okay.
But my life's interesting. Where I tell people you can change your life and you can make money fast. Like I went from being a broke kid to a couple $100,000 a year, and then I was stuck there for quite some time.
Yeah.
But then I went from that to making $1 million within like a year. So I went from here to here really fast.
And you and your wife, y'all are doing this together.
Yeah.
A lot of people say don't shit where you eat. And so why did you decide to do this? Bring her along with you on this venture?
Well, we were best friends.
That was your bestie.
Yeah. So like we were hanging out anyways. And we had a lot of fun doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun doing it. And then going into season 2, we were just started filming season 2. And I got this eerie email from the production company and the network. So there was a fan out of Texas, registered nurse, sent an email, said, hey, I'm a registered nurse. I noticed a lump on Tarek's neck. He should get it checked. Right when I got that email, I knew I had to do something because I'd gone to my regular doctor multiple times because for like 2 years, I was always clearing my throat and I was feeling pressure in my neck. And he gave me nose spray and allergy medicine, but like nothing else. So I ended up going to a different doctor and they do a biopsy. The biopsy came back as atypical, meaning there's a chance it could be cancer and a chance it couldn't be cancer. It's unknown. So then we booked exploratory surgery. So they were just gonna, cut me up open a little bit just to take a look around. What happened was I was under the knife for like 4 to 5 hours. And I'll never forget, when I came to, my eyes open, Christina looking down on me, I see the tears. And then the first thing I said was, I have cancer, don't I? And she nodded her head. So I found out I actually had cancer after they removed the cancer. So I had stage 3 thyroid cancer. Had spread to my lymph nodes. So they removed my entire thyroid plus lymph nodes.
Did they tell you how long they thought you'd had it?
It had been a few years.
Years.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was stage 3. It wasn't stage 1. So it was a little scary. So because of that, we looked through my old medical records, and we noticed a year before I had an irregular testicle exam, but there was nothing else said about it. So one day I'm with my thyroid cancer doctor. I'll never forget this. And I was trying to book an ultrasound for my testicles or whatever. I don't know what to call them. So I guess that's what we'll call them today.
Okay.
And when I was there, last minute, there was an opening down the hall. And they're like, hey, we can go do the ultrasound because you're already here. You want to go do that? I said, yeah, sure. So I go into the ultrasound room, and it was the technician was like this guy from Huntington Beach. It's an uncomfortable, ultrasound area, right? So we're just like, talking and stuff, and his energy's good, and like, he's talkative. And all of a sudden, I read people. That's one of my ADHD superpowers. And I was noticing his tonality changing, his energy changing, and I asked him, hey, what's up? He goes, nothing. I was like, dude, what's up? Something's wrong. What's going on?
The vibe changed.
And he goes, I'm not a doctor. I said, no, I know you're not a doctor. What's going on? He goes, you're in pain? I said, huh? He goes, because if you're in pain, you should go to the emergency room down the hall.
Were you in pain?
No.
Did you say you were in pain?
That's what he was telling me to say. So I walked down the hall. 20 minutes later, I have a surgeon in the room explaining that I have testicular cancer, booking surgery. So now I'm thinking I'm going to die because I have two cancers at the same time. Yeah.
Well, you're standing here today. How did that story end?
Well, I thought it was over.
Yeah.
I remember talking to the network. They're like, no problem with the show. We'll stop filming. And I was like, oh, hell no. We're going to film this to the end. I said, you're going to film me rolling into these surgeries. So if you watch the show, you'll see me on, national TV gain 50, 60 pounds from my thyroid cancer, because when they removed my thyroid, I was gaining weight. Like, it was a wild experience. And
TV is a lot of vanity.
Yeah. And for years, people would comment, call me names, ugly, fat, your wife. I don't know how you got your wife. You're a loser. Like, for years, but I was sick. I look like shit. I look better today, I'd say.
Did it seep in you, or did you just let it roll off?
I was so beat up all the time. It was like I couldn't even feel it anymore.
Yeah.
I was just every day just beat up, emotionally drained. My hormones were off. My energy was gone. I wasn't the same human because your thyroid controls everything.
Your hormones being off, that's major.
Yeah, but then it gets really bad. So after all my surgeries and radioactive iodine, where they locked me in this room without my family and x-rayed me lasered me to see how radioactive I was, I finally was feeling better. I go out and golf one day, my buddies. And turns out I was having the record round of my life. I'm not a good golfer. I was somehow like 5 or 6 over after like 10 or 11 holes, which for golf, for me, that's like one hole. So,
yeah, please break it down, because I don't know golf.
Yeah, let's just say it was around that, I'd never played like that in my life.
Okay.
So I go to pick up my golf ball off the grass. Next thing I know, my back goes out and I hit the ground. I'm like, damn. So I get up and I'm in some pain. Yeah. I should have left the golf course.
And that was in front of the boys.
Yeah.
What did they say?
Laughed at me.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm gonna keep going, man. I got this round. So we go up to the next hole. About halfway through my swing, coming down to hit the ball, I feel the worst pain I ever feel in my life. Hit the deck, hit the ground, and for the next year and a half, I lived through absolute hell.
Yeah.
So I just got out of the cancers, and then I went into a whole new situation to where I slipped multiple discs, and it was just pinching my sciatic so bad I could barely stand up straight. I was taking like 10 to 12 Vicodin, Dilaudid, Percocet every day. I went from 235 pounds to 165 pounds. You could see the bones in my chest. And then after a year of this, I finally got the surgery. Yeah. So then I got the surgery. Let
me ask you this. Did you feel, before all of this happened with the health issues, that you took your health for granted?
Oh, 100%. I was awful on myself and on my body. I smoked 2 packs a day, cigarettes. I was an alcoholic for many years. I was really, really rough on myself. I didn't sleep enough. I was overwhelmed, stressed all the time.
Wow, it's like you are going to learn every lesson. You learned how to value hard work, and you're learning how to value your health.
Yes. Today I'm healthy.
Today you're healthy.
Healthy, yeah.
What's going to be the next one? What do you think?
Never know.
What's going to hit you next, Tarek?
I don't know yet. That's book 2.
Yeah. Well, keep going.
Yeah. Well, where was that? What was I talking?
You were talking about you're at the golf course.
Oh no,
2
the back.
years.
A
The
year
back,
with the
a
back.
year.
So now I'm not a nice human. I mean, I'm on opiates. I'm high. I wasn't myself. I was mean. I was short-tempered. I was frustrated, brain fog. Like I was addicted to opiates, but not because I wanted to be addicted to opiates, but because I was in so much pain. Like the pain was so bad. So then I go get the surgery, and then the night I came home from the surgery was probably the worst night of my life. What happened was they didn't give me anti-nausea medicine. So because of the pain pills, I was nauseous. So then I would trying to throw up, and then I had surgery like 8 hours before, and it was so painful that I had to stop taking the pain pills. So now I'm feeling everything. And then what happened was, which was the worst part, is I had this urge to go to the bathroom. It would take me like 15 minutes to get from the bed to the toilet. I'd stand there and wait, and a couple drops of blood would come out. And this what happened all night.
Yeah.
And then finally, I think it was like 5 or 6 in the morning, I realized I think my bladder is going to explode.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
So I call 911.
Yeah. And what is Christina doing in this whole process? How is she holding it down?
At the time we were going through, with a lot of other things. I think she was dealing with like the infertility stuff, and she was on bed rest, I believe,
So both of y'all going through
we were
it.
going through it.
Wow.
Yeah, we went through a lot as a family, a lot, right? So I go to the hospital, and then turns out they didn't check my urethra. I think that's what it's called. Is that what it's called? I think that's what it's called. And it closed up, and that's why I couldn't use the restroom. So actually, it was a good thing I went to the hospital, because I would have been in big trouble. So then they tried to send me home like a couple hours later, and I was in so much pain. I told them something's wrong, and I wouldn't leave. And then I was actually arguing with the hospital. Like I said, I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
If they call the police, get me out of here. So finally, they sent me up to the actual hospital, not the emergency room. Turns out there were some complications. So then I think I spent like 4 or 5 nights in the hospital, started recovering, got home. And now I'm downstairs, beat up. I just survived a couple cancers, a year of hell with my back, and now I'm miserable from surgery. And I'm in this dark room downstairs for weeks, not moving, not getting out of bed. And one day I'm watching the show Intervention. Have you seen that show?
I haven't.
Oh my gosh, I love that show. You should watch that show. And it's a marathon. Every episode is about a family, doing an intervention to an addict or a user to give it up and turn their life around.
Okay.
Go to rehab, start over, fresh start. So episode, I'm getting more inspired, right? More inspired, creating more hope. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to walk. I said, I'm going to walk to the front door.
Yeah.
And I had a big house at the time. So that was my first goal. So I get out of bed, I put my slippers on, and I look like Mr. Burns, because I was hunched over, I was skinny, chest bones popping out. I couldn't stand up straight. So I was always hunched. So I make it to the front door. And I'm like, well, I made it to the front. I wonder if I can make it to the corner.
And you're in your, early 30s at this time?
Yeah, I think I was like 31. Yeah. 31, 32.
These old folk problems you
Yeah,
dealing with.
it's wild.
Yeah.
So I've rebuilt my body, It's amazing what the human body can do if you take care of it. So I said, can I make it to the corner? I said, I think I can. So then I walked to the corner. I said, man, I made it. It was like, 60, 70 yards. I just kept walking. And I ended up walking a 2-mile loop. And about halfway through my walk, I realized I was standing up straight.
Yeah.
And my pain was going away. By the time I got home, my back pain was gone. And that was the first day of my recovery. And I learned through action and motion and moving my body and creating blood flow, I could start healing.
Doing.
And it all came from watching a TV show. Yeah.
Doing. That should have been the name of the book, Doing.
Do it. Just do it. And Nike says it best.
Just do it. Oh my goodness. And you were still filming at this time? Or
Yeah,
what?
I filmed through the whole thing.
The whole thing.
I filmed through the cancers, the back surgery, the divorce. I filmed through everything.
What were the ratings like?
Good.
They were good.
Yeah,
So
the ratings were good.
And Were people still talking their talk, or did they finally understand, okay, no, like he's really going through something?
You know, no one, to be honest, I never I never really got much love from the world with my, because of, I think there was just so many awful things said about me during my divorce in the press, majority untrue, but it really hurt me at the time.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I was just lost, alone, miserable, so sad. And just every day looking at the newspapers and the articles and people attacking me. And I'm just thinking, man, when's it going to end?
Mm-hmm. The press.
Yeah.
That's part of the press. I understand.
Yeah.
And what would you say to those people today? What would you say to all of those people who had so much negative stuff to say?
Oh, you know, I mean, in life, I mean, we're all human and we all make mistakes, and it's about what you do after you make those mistakes. Mm-hmm. And it's important that we not be so judgmental, because at one point in our life, every one of us has been through something, and every one of us has probably gotten a second chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And during the divorce, was there a prenup?
No. So, I mean, we went into it as broke kids, you know?
Yeah.
So no prenup, you know, but, you know, they understood, but, you know, also I feel like I was very misunderstood during those years, because that wasn't me. I was sick.
Yeah.
Like I was sick not for like a week. I didn't have a cold, like for years, multiple cancers, back surgeries, complications. And then after that, the worst part, the nail in the coffin, which really made this whole thing explode, was the testosterone. So after the back, I started feeling better, but I didn't have my energy. I was exhausted all the time. So, you know, I ended up going to one of those bioidentical hormone doctors at one of those Botox offices. Man. And she told me that the reason I felt like that was because of my testicular cancer. So I needed testosterone.
Yeah.
Turns out she was totally wrong, because at the time my testosterone was 580, which was fine.
Okay.
So next thing I know, this guy comes in the room with like biceps this big, has no hair, like he's juiced out of his mind, and he's showing me where to stick a 3-4 inch needle into my ass. And I'm thinking, well, these are doctors, okay. I had cancer, okay. So next thing I know, I'm injecting myself with testosterone. I'm injecting myself daily with something called HCG.
What's that?
I believe it's a female hormone, actually.
Like estrogen?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And then I'm taking a pill called anastrozole, which was an estrogen blocker.
Okay.
It made me feel like Superman, the highest highs you could ever imagine. Like all that excitement, passion on overdrive. Like I felt like I can do anything. Yeah. But at the same time, the lowest lows, the lowest valleys, the saddest you could ever feel. So I became addicted to this testosterone, the highs it would give me, the excitement. But then the negatives of it were the depression, the mania, the racing thoughts, the anxiety, the palpitating heart. But I was addicted to it because I loved it so much.
Did you know what was going on?
No,
at the
I didn't.
Time? You didn't. So you couldn't even voice to your loved ones, like, something's wrong with me right now. I'm going through something.
Yeah, and then I found myself, that's why Christina left me. I'd come home from work, I'd go lock myself in my office and stare at my wall for hours, just dying inside. And a few weeks before she left me, I had reached out to a few people around me, including her, you know, explaining I needed help.
Yeah.
I knew something. At this point, I was way far gone. I was so mean. I wasn't myself.
Did she help you?
I had done too much damage at that point.
Too much. And I want to respect your current marriage, because I really do. If you could do things differently, that's not the right question. The right question is, do you have any regrets? Are you okay with how life is going for you? Or would you have wanted to see things go differently?
Listen, I wouldn't change a thing. The most valuable lessons I learned in my life were through the pain of that divorce and losing my family. It made me the best father I could ever be. It made me realize what was important. Now, would it have been okay if I would have gone through that experience and then we would have tried to work it out? My life would be different, right? But that didn't happen. And you can't control the past. You can't control other people. And you can't look back and wonder what if, because you'll be locked in a prison. So I wouldn't change a thing. I love my wife. I love my new son. I have my family. You know, but it's all 20/20 hindsight. A lot of times in life, like, you don't realize what's going on until you're out of it looking back and you realize, wow, it was bad. You know, I almost feel like that period of my life, I don't even remember what happened. It feels like a dream to me.
What was your relationship like with your kids?
Terrible. I was a terrible father.
Do they still remember that?
No. And what happened was, she left me. Next thing I know, I got to take care of my daughter, but I never took care of her before, you know? And I'll never forget magic, doing bath time, doing her hair, brushing her hair, doing the shampoo and the conditioner, and just crying, like realizing, like, you know, kids. Realizing how much I missed out on. But I made it up to her. We're best friends, yeah.
Y'all are best friends.
Best friends. Like, daddy-daughter dances, date night, soccer coach.
Yeah.
So as you can see, there's still some pain in there.
Yeah. You good.
So yeah, you know, I don't typically, I don't beat myself up about it because I turned it around. And that's what this book's about. You know, we all go through shit, and we're no different than houses. It doesn't matter how tired we are, how beat up we are, how sad we are, how depressed we are, how out of shape we are, how fat we are, how skinny we are. We can all use a remodel.
Yeah.
It's real. I remodeled my life from the inside out, and I did it, you know, for me. I did it for my kids. I did it for my family. And anyone out there that's going through shit, they can turn it around, but no one's going to do it for them. They got to do it for themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I watched Selling Sunset, and I saw Heather from season 1 to now.
Yeah.
And I always thought to myself, she's had the absolute best character development. And I wonder if you have something to do with that.
You know, I think we've both helped each other a lot in many different ways.
Yeah.
You know, I think us meeting was fate. Being on that boat 4th of July and connecting so fast and being together, and, you know, now having a family with her, it's something that for years I never thought I'd have again. Yeah. So, you know, having that again in my life makes me whole.
It makes you whole.
Yeah.
So what's it like? What's it like being a new dad? I mean, you have kids, but you're a dad all over again. What do you feel like, okay, this time I'm gonna get this right?
Oh man, it's incredible. You know, like, I'm best friends with Taylor and Braden. Like, they'll tell you, like, we are buddies. Like, we do everything together, you know? But with Tristan, it's, you know, I missed, like I said, like, it's acceptance. I was not a good father. I didn't hold the babies enough. I didn't spend enough. No, with Tristan, since the day he was born, skin to skin, an hour a night on my chest, we are so close. And he's 1 year old, and there's my favorite thing is the morning. You know, I get up around 3:30, 4 in the morning. They come down around 5:45 a.m. I hear them coming down the stairs, and every morning he knows Dad's right around the corner, and you see he pops his head and he throws his arms out at me every morning. And I grab him and we walk around, and while Heather makes his bottle and stuff, and like, we have our own things, and I'm just so excited to have this chance with him.
Family is everything, and you said that to me before the interview. I'm a dad.
Yeah, I'm a dad first, and that's what I learned through all this. You know, through hitting rock bottom with my ex-wife leaving me, I realized like every single thing I was stressed about, anxious about, nervous about, worried about didn't mean anything. Because the second she left me, that trumped everything else that I was ever worried about.
And that was your best friend.
Yeah. So very, very, again, very valuable lessons. And it's what you do with those hardships, right? I see people all the time waste 20, 30, think about it, 40, 50 years of their life dwelling on something or hating on someone from decades ago, blaming their life today on someone from 30 years ago. It has nothing to do with that person. It has to do with you.
It has to do with you.
Yeah.
Well, you and Heather, y'all have a show.
Yeah. Oh, so excited. Yeah. Oh my God. Season 2 is so good, by the way. Like season 1, first year flipping, we're new to working together, right? Season 2, we've created the coolest houses I've ever done. I'm so excited. Yeah.
And so once again, you're working with your wife. Heather's your best friend.
Yeah.
Heather's your best friend. And what was the energy like when she first came into your life? Like, we see these new relationships, we go through these highs and lows. Was it just positive? What was it like?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, we had so much fun, like very first date was so much fun. Within the first week, we moved in together, traveled the world together. We lived through the pandemic together, kicked off our show together, taught her how to flip houses. And today she's a rock star at it. She's doing so good. In our show, season 2, it's going to be so much fun. It's such a fun show.
What made you know that, okay, she's the one, I'm going to marry her?
Well, there was a moment actually, it was on our boat. Yeah. So I'll never forget, I look over and she had, Taylor sleeping on her chest on this arm, she had Braden sleeping on her on this arm, and the three of them were kind of like passed out. And I was sitting there and I looking and that was the moment I said, I'm going to marry this girl.
She loves your other kids too. She treats them like they're her own.
Yeah.
That is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, she's been an amazing stepmom to them, and we needed her.
I'm tired. Let's go back to the business.
Sure.
What's the money like with the Flipping El Moussas? How much are y'all making per episode?
Oh, I don't think I can share that, but we do okay.
Y'all do okay?
Yeah.
Everything's good. Okay.
Everything's okay.
Well, what's next for you?
I'm really passionate about 2 things. Getting people from zero to as far as they want to go. Yeah. So I have a company called Homeschooled by Tarek where I teach people how to fix and flip houses, how to buy rental properties, how to wholesale real estate. Most people think to be an investor or be involved in investing, it takes money. It doesn't. So I teach people, even if they have no money, how to get started and change their life through real estate. So that's one of my passions. My other passion is my company, TEM Capital, and that's private equity real estate syndication. So for a lot of people that are maybe lawyers or doctors or business owners who are busy, that don't have the time to invest in real estate, they partner with me on real estate deals. So I help them grow their wealth by investing in deals with me. And we buy self-storage facilities, multifamily properties. We just announced a few days ago we're building a 39-story high-rise in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, gorgeous project. We just broke ground on 925 storage units, Surprise, Arizona. Just closed escrow, 215 units in Orlando. So I'm very passionate about educating accredited investors and helping them educate them and grow their wealth. And then outside of that, I'm big on community. So with our investors, we have dinners and yacht parties, and we're planning a vacation to Mexico this year. So just a lot of fun stuff.
All right.
You got to make money and have fun. You got to do both.
Fun. Well, Tarek, you have been such a pleasure to speak with today.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.